Hey YouTube, Colorful Codes here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a very informative video to share with you all. Basically, if a friend came to me and asked, how do I learn algorithms and data structures? Or how do I get better at solving algorithms and data structures? This video is a detailed response that I would give them to walk them through step by step by step. So stay tuned for that. So a little bit about me is that I am a self-taught developer, self-taught programmer. So I've been programming for about 5 years, and currently I'm a software developer at Microsoft. So over the years, I would say I started algorithms late 2017. So, no, oops, my bad. I started algorithms spring 2017, and yeah, I've done about 300 to 400 algorithms since then. So I have a lot of advice to share and, advice I wish that I had at the time. So why are algorithms and data structures important? 9 out of 10 companies are going to ask you an algorithm or data structure during your interview. So you need to know these. All tech companies, almost every single tech company is going to ask these questions. Also, do not worry if you are not a math person. For the longest time, I thought I wasn't a math person, and the highest math I got to in high school was Algebra 2 and Trigonometry. But out of the math that you see in computer science is mostly algebra, basic, plus, minus, multiplication, division, and anything that you do not know, you can learn. Algorithms and data structures is basically like any other skill. Alright, when you're first starting out, you won't get it, but over time, once you get your hours in, you can learn it. You can learn it. Just start practicing. Alright, so I do have some prerequisites. So, the first prerequisite I have is that you need to know a programming language. It doesn't matter what language it is, as long as you're comfortable in the language, that's it. The language that I use when I'm programming or when I'm solving algorithms and data structures is Python, because that's the language I'm most comfortable in. And the second prerequisite is that you need time. So say you only have 2 weeks. It would be best, if you're new to this, to give yourself several months. I do not believe that you can go from a beginner to really well in algorithms and data structures in just a few weeks. If you're a beginner, I would say 6 months. If you're already a developer, you've taken a course on algorithms and data structures, you've gone through the interview process, and you're just transferring to a new job, I would say 2 to 3 months, ideally. But yeah, it's up to what you decide to do. But normally I would expect, or I would have given some advice to expect to learn over 6 months or more. So now we can get started on what is an algorithm and what is a data structure. So I went on the internet and I googled the difference. So according to programiz.com, a data structure is a named location that can be used to store and organize data. So typically that's kind of like a stack, a queue, a linked list, a hash map, a tree. And an algorithm is a collection of steps to solve a particular problem. Learning data structures and algorithms allow us to write efficient and optimized computer programs. So algorithms are like sorts and searches problems, like a merge sort, a binary search, insertion sort, bubble sort, quick sort, graph type questions like a breadth first search, depth first search, etc. Yeah. So now we can move on to the steps. So I have about 5 steps, and then I have bonus notes, I guess you can say. So step number 1 is to take a course. You want to take a course on algorithms and data structures if you are a newbie. Popular courses, there's 3 that I could think of. There's the Princeton course on Coursera.com, and that's free, and that's by Sedgwick, I believe, and that's in Java. Another popular course that I always see on the internet is Stanford. Stanford has an algorithms course and data structures course. I tried both of those courses a few years ago, and I could not understand them. It was just I didn't have the aptitude for those 2 courses. So yeah, I just didn't end up taking those courses. But I did take CS50, which is another course that I recommend. And that is a general intro to computer science course, but I believe it's the most popular course on the internet, or the most popular MOOC. And it's by Harvard, CS50. It's really amazing. And they have a few weeks where they go over data structures and algorithms. And the main course that I used was for Python, and that was by Runstone Academy. And it's basically a book that's online, and it's completely free, and that's the course that I recommend if you are a Python programmer and you want to learn data structures and algorithms. So basically just find a course that's in your target language, because that's how you're going to learn it the best. So, step 2. Step 2 is critical. You need to write down every algorithm and data structure that you learn. You need to know how to implement a stack, a queue, a singly linked list, a doubly linked list, a merge sort, a quick sort, all the sorts, a binary search tree. You need to know how to implement all of these aspects because you're going to learn them in the course, and they're going to be the basis for pretty much all the interviews and all the questions that you start to answer online. And you want to make sure you understand them. And normally what I do is that I have a book. I actually have multiple books where I would write down and implement a linked list and all of them, all the questions. And that's what you want to do, just to really let it penetrate your mind. And step 2.5 is to use Python Tutor. So, Python Tutor is a data visualization tool, and it's not just for Python. They have C++, C, Java, JavaScript, Ruby, and possibly other languages as well. And they walk you through each and every single step on how the algorithm works. Like, if you were working on a linked list and you don't know how to visualize it, they literally walk you through the node and each step and building the linked list and how it's built in memory, or like how to build it in your mind. And I think that that's pretty much my secret weapon when I'm doing implementations and when I'm solving questions on the internet. So Python Tutor, it's the most invaluable tool that I believe, because it would really help you understand how this stuff really works, because you can watch lots of videos online and you can do a course and then you can still feel, and you can write it down and you can still feel like you kind of don't know what's going on. So that's what I recommend, is Python Tutor. Step number 3. You need to practice at least 3 to 5 problems per algorithm or data structure. For example, for a stack problem, you need to practice a valid parenthesis. For a doubly linked list, practice LRU cache. For any other questions, practice for a merge sort question. Practice 3 problems that would use a merge sort, or a binary search. Like if you were given a ordered list, binary search. Like for every single algorithm or data structure you learn, you need to find problems for that. So this is where we get to the resources. The best resources, I have a few because I've been doing this stuff for a while. So, the most popular resource I would say in the software development community would be Cracking the Coding Interview. It's a pretty popular book, and a lot of the questions are really common that you'll see in our interview. The first whiteboard question that I ever got asked was find unique characters in a string, and I think that was like the first question in Cracking the Coding Interview problem, a coding interview book. So you definitely want to go through there and try to do as many problems as you can. Most of the chapters are pretty important. After that, for new programmers, for newbies, I recommend codewars.com. So the reason why I recommend codewars.com is because, as amazing as leetcode.com is, the easy questions on LeetCode aren't exactly easy. Sometimes they're even harder than LeetCode mediums. So I recommend, as a new person, you solve level 8Q and level 7Q on codewars.com, which is a free site, because those questions are easier than LeetCode Easies. And I feel like if you jump to a LeetCode Easy, from my experience, you'll feel discouraged that you can't solve them because they're so difficult. But when you start on Code Wars, like a 8Q, which is really easy, like 8Q is like reverse a string, palindrome, anagram type questions. Those will kind of ease you in. And then, I would say if 8Q is too easy for you, do just, a 7Qs. But if you're really new to this, 10 8Q, 10 7Q, and maybe even 10 6Q before you hit LeetCode Easies. And you could do less than that. It's up to you. You can do 5 to 7. But yeah, and just get comfortable in that. I would say 6Qs and 5Qs on Code Wars are LeetCode Easy equivalents. And right now I'm at a 5Q level on Code Wars. Next resource is LeetCode. So LeetCode.com is the most popular website, I believe, for solving algorithms and data structures. They have thousands of questions. And at this point, LeetCode is a noun and a verb. So on LeetCode.com, you can go through and I think you can choose like the top 100 most popular interview questions. And you can just work your way through there. They have a lot of the really core questions that are asked by a lot of companies, like to sum, which Google asks. And the next resource that I recommend is HackerRank. I recommend HackerRank for 2 reasons. One, because a lot of companies send you a HackerRank and you need to get used to the UI. I've literally bombed interviews because of this very reason. Because for example, I bombed Oscar Hell's interview last year because I did not know how to remove the boilerplate code. Even though the question that the company sent me was so easy, but I just didn't even know how to even start. And I was just used to being able to remove code whenever I wanted. And also the standard input-output I wasn't exactly a fan of. But yeah, definitely use it just to get used to the UI. Like I said, about 5 questions or so at least. And the second reason I recommend HackerRank is mostly for people who are getting back into the job hunt. They already have a job in software development. And that's to use their interview preparation kit. So I really like their interview preparation kit because they have they have a core set of questions for each and every algorithm and data structure. And then they have them organized based off of the popularity of those questions. For example, a string and arrays would be asked by 70% of companies, whereas backtracking or greedy algorithms would be asked by about maybe 20%. And so, they list them all and they just have them so nice and neat. I just think it's really great, and it's a really great resource, and they choose really good questions for that. So another resource I recommend is Interview Cake. This is up to you because I don't know how much it costs now, but the last time I checked it was $100. So Interview Cake is a very popular website because they have about 46 questions, the last that I remember, and they break down how exactly an algorithm works. Like, for example, and they have a really amazing problem set. Like, I've seen their problem, product of all ints. I got asked that question by Facebook. And I got asked that question by Google Engineer. I got asked that question so many times. They have a really good, I've seen their questions a lot of times, asked by different people. And I like what they do where it's kind of like a book for each problem. So they'll take a problem like product of all ints or egg drop, and then they'll show you how to, like, they'll tell you to solve the problem. Then they'll take you through different steps on different ways to solve the problem and why one way is better than the next. So if you want to do that, if you have the money, go right ahead. But I have a review on that. I have a video review and a blog post review. And the last site that I recommend is for people who are advanced also, and you only have 2 weeks to study. So there's this guy named Jeremy Anguillan. I saw his blog recommended a bunch of times on CS Career Questions on Reddit, and he has this website where he ranks top questions by cram score. So like he'll have like 5 questions that he would the total blog is like just 15 questions, but he'll have like 5 questions that he'll say like it's level 1 or something like that. And he'll say, if it was the night before and my interview, if it's 12 a.m. and my interview is tomorrow, I will do these 5 questions. And then he'll say, if I have a week to practice, I would do these 5 questions. And he's interned at a lot of companies. Amazon, Facebook, Google. He works at Facebook now. And he went to Georgia Tech, I believe. Like, so this guy has been through a lot of interview processes, and he was recommended a lot. So there you go. Step 4 is to learn big O notation. Hopefully you got to this before, before I even said so. But you should have learned this in step 2 when you were doing a course on DS and algo, and also when you're going through the algorithms. You need to know time and space complexity. A guy that I recommend on YouTube for time and space complexity for all algorithms and data structures videos is a guy named Back to Back SWE. All his videos are so amazing. Like, it's just, he really breaks down problems really well, and he really explains them really well, so I would recommend his channel. But you definitely want to know the difference between constant time, ON time, quadratic time, time space, all that stuff, because they're going to ask you that in the interview. So, finally, the last step, which is step 5. You need to do mock interviews. In-person interviews and online interviews. In-person mock interviews and online mock interviews. So, right now it's COVID, so everything's happening online. For online interview practice, I recommend Pramp.com. So since September 2017, I've done about 17 mock interviews on the site. Basically, Pramp.com is a site that's free, that for an hour, you interview someone and they interview you, and you both leave feedback on each other. Normally, you get 30 minutes each, but depending on how you set it up, you can decide to go even longer, like 40, 40, or 45, 45. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it's the best site for mock interviews. I used to do interviewing.io, but that's not free anymore. So Pramp.com is where it is. And it's not just algorithms and data structures. It's behavioral, it's object-oriented programming, it's system design. It's amazing. You have to use Pramp, and you need to do way more than I did. Like 17 for like 2 years, 3 years is not enough. You need to do a lot more, and your skills will be amazing. And they give you questions, they give you a problem set. Some questions are really reasonable. Some questions, like I got a question called H-tree that I still to this day cannot solve. But I got really great questions that I've seen in interviews from there as well. So yeah, definitely give it a shot. And once COVID is over, do in-person interviews, go to a meetup, and go to, do whiteboard practice with other programmers. So lastly, I just have bonus advice. There's a specific list of questions that I recommend that you should know by heart, because there's a very high chance you're going to get this in your interview process. So I'm going to look at my computer screen and read them out. You need to know palindrome, reverse string or sentences, multiple ways, Fibonacci, anagram, FizzBuzz, reversal linked list, number of islands, twosome, valid parenthesis, merge meeting times or intervals, product of all ints, delete a node. And maybe I'm missing some, but those were the first ones that I thought about off the top of my head that I wrote down. Also, my advice is to revisit and solve problems that you've done in the past, because it's going to reinforce the knowledge. And also time yourself. So when you're a newbie, you're going to look at a problem and you just don't even know what to do at all. Like, you're going to just stare at the problem and not even know like which direction to solve it. But over time, you will get better at solving it, and you'll get to a 6Q level at some point. So in the beginning, at least spend 20 minutes trying to solve it. If you can't solve it within 20 minutes, look at the answer, try to figure out how they got it done, and then go back and do the question again. If you're close to the question, or you've been doing a few problems for a while, sometimes you just want to spend over an hour. But after after you've finally solved the problem, you need to learn how to solve problems within 45 minutes. Like, you need to start timing yourself to solve a problem, within a certain amount of time. But sometimes you really just don't. You don't need to give up, and you shouldn't give up when you're practicing. Also, for interview, pretend you've never seen the question in your whole life. Lie if you have to. If you get FizzBuzz, pretend you've never seen FizzBuzz in your life, but solve it in a smart way. Solve it in a semi-efficient way, and just use like, I think we could do this. I think we could do that. Don't pretend like you've seen the question before, but solve it in a good way. But don't make it easy for your interviewer to know that you already know the question. And then know an efficient way to solve it better. So don't solve it the most efficient way the first time. And finally, my last advice tip is to know object-oriented programming. I failed 3 interviews this year specifically because I couldn't even start the problem they gave me because I didn't know how to structure my code in an object-oriented fashion. And they were like, you need to go back to school. So, no object-oriented programming. Please, please, please learn that. So anyways, that's all of my advice that I could give you. Like, I'm giving you this advice as a friend. This is a really long video, but this is all my advice in terms of algorithms and data structures. So if you want more videos and if you have any recommendations, just add me on Instagram, Colorful Codes, Twitter, Colorful Codes, follow my blog, colorfulcodesblog.wordpress.com, email me at codescolorful@gmail.com, leave a comment. If you like what you see, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, please. And anyways, I wish you all the best and thank you so much for watching. And definitely good luck on your future interviews. Take care. Bye.